So let's start with the premise. People, at least the vast majority of them, want to feel as if their work is important. They don't want to simply check their head at the door and take up space. And this is a good thing because you, as the leader, have a responsibility to develop others, to leverage your resources to accomplish the work, and to create an environment that engages people to volunteer their commitment. One of the most effective tools you can use to fulfill that responsibility is delegation and empowerment. This episode answers the question, what's the difference between delegation and empowerment? Hello, I'm Randy Pennington. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss any new content when it's posted. I describe delegation and empowerment as one tool in the intro. And you might be thinking, one tool? Aren't delegation and empowerment different things? Well, yes and no. Delegation and empowerment are, in reality, two ends of a continuum that leverages resources, develops others, and allows people to feel as if they're contributing. But there are important differences. So today we'll look at the differences between delegation and empowerment. We'll discuss when you should use each, and we'll examine the 4 criteria you can use as a leader to determine when you should delegate and when you should empower. The key difference between delegation and empowerment comes down to one important factor: who's in control? Or put another way, how much autonomy does the individual have in the job? Here's an easy way to think about it. You delegate tasks. You empower people to exercise control to achieve a desired result. Let's break down the difference in more detail. Delegation has tight boundaries and often a prescribed course of action. The ultimate delegated task is one where the leader gives specific direction and the follower carries it out as directed. With delegation, you own more responsibility for deciding what, how, and when things are done. Empowerment, on the other hand, has loose or even no boundaries. The ultimate example of empowerment is the leader presenting a goal to be accomplished or a decision to be made, and then allowing the follower to determine and execute the course of action with either limited or no further involvement from the leader. With empowerment, the follower owns the responsibility for deciding what, how, and when things are done within the agreed upon boundaries. Here's an example. Let's say that you want your teenage son or daughter to prepare the evening meal for the family. If you're delegating the task, you determine the menu, you provide direction on the specific ingredients and recipe to be used, and you set a clear goal on when the meal is to be ready for consumption. If you're empowering your teenager, you allow them to have complete control over what is served, how it's prepared, and when it's served. Your only direction is setting the goal and probably establishing some broad boundaries such as the budget or the fact that it has to accommodate your food allergies. The difference then is all about a continuum of autonomy and control. Between the endpoints of pure delegation and total empowerment, there are several options. You could delegate the task and set the menu, but empower your teenager to determine the order in which the meal is prepared. You could allow your son or daughter to recommend several menu options and then you decide the best choice. You could also solicit recommendations and then decide together. There are 3 factors you must consider when deciding if you want to delegate or you want to empower. 1, the follower's knowledge, skills, and ability. The more extensive the individual's capacity to make and execute a course of action without your involvement, the more you can move toward the empowerment end of the continuum. 2, the amount of control and autonomy that's required to complete the goal or task. Some tasks are very prescribed, such as completing a specific report. In those situations, you're really delegating the task, not empowering a result. And 3, the amount of control and autonomy that you are willing to give. Some leaders feel as if they must be involved in every decision and activity. Now, they'll tell you that the people on their team don't have the necessary knowledge, skills, or abilities. But the truth is, they're unwilling to give up control. And if you're one of those leaders, you must work to overcome that tendency to micromanage everything and everyone. The high-performing workplace you need in the future has a choice, and they'll choose to volunteer their commitment to organizations and leaders that allow them to contribute and grow. Most important, if there are certain projects or assignments that are so important that you can't let go, please be open and honest about your need to stay involved. There are 4 things that must be present regardless if you choose to delegate or to empower. A clear understanding of the goal or task to be completed, including timeframes, budget restrictions, and quality levels. 2, clear understanding of the boundaries and authority. 3, the necessary knowledge and skills to accomplish the goal or task. And 4, your trust that the individual will perform and potentially fail in pursuit of succeeding at that goal or task. Well, that's it for this episode. People want to feel as if their work is important. They want to contribute to success, and they don't want to simply check their head at the door and then take up space. Your job is to develop others, leverage your resources to accomplish the work, and create an environment that engages people to volunteer their commitment. You can do both by giving people the appropriate levels of control and autonomy with delegation and empowerment. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to never miss an episode of the Results Rule Show. And as always, we appreciate you sharing this with your friends, giving us a like, and commenting with your ideas and questions. And remember, the heroes in every marketplace are known by their results. I'll see you next time.